Hey, it's Eddie K here for Best Buy Plugin, and in this video review we take a look at the Samsung Galaxy Note 9, Samsung's biggest smartphone as far as screen size goes, with a new look pen that does a lot more than just write. The Galaxy Note 9 is not really a phone of surprises. If you've used the Note 8 before, you've seen it, or you've used the Galaxy S9 or S9 Plus, you basically put those two together and you have this, with a few other additions to make this one a little bit more unique from the others, in a couple of instances in some pretty significant ways. Okay, first is, let's see, under the hood we have some pretty good stuff going on here. This phone is water cooled. Now that's unusual. Smartphones generally don't have water cooling. That's typically something that would have been seen, in like high-end PCs or something like that, but Samsung has put water cooling in this, and the idea being that you won't have the phone getting too hot if there's some really intensive stuff going on. Then, of course, you have the processor. You have a Snapdragon 845 in here, 6 gigs of RAM, and 128 gigs of internal storage with a micro SD slot to expand on that. So there's quite a bit going on under the hood. And, I should mention also the 4,000 milliamp battery. And I just want to mention the battery for a second because I think when you have a 6.4-inch display, and especially something as vibrant as this, you do kind of have to wonder where the battery is going to go. And I have to say, even I was a little bit surprised that on conservative use, just sort of really basic usage, I went easily 24 hours, easily, if not past that. So on moderate usage, I was already going well past, let's say, a full day for you is like a 9 to 5 day, you get home, you would be going well past the evening and you probably wouldn't have to charge again until before you went to bed. Functionally, there's not that much that's different from the phone compared to the others. Now, of course, there is the S Pen, and the S Pen, I think, is where things kind of get interesting. Before, the S Pen was a writing utensil. You used it as a stylus, you could just select things, you could write things, but it was ultimately a dummy device that was like a dummy accessory, didn't really do anything else. Now it does. So it has Bluetooth Low Energy in it, meaning that when you take it out, you can now use it as a remote. So I could use the button to snap photos, I could use it to play or pause, media, I could scroll through a gallery of photos that I'm showing. Let's say I'm connecting the phone to a TV and I want to show. So some interesting stuff going on with that, which I think in practice is actually quite useful. So for the photos, for example, I found it really interesting that it's one feature that could work for both novice users. So people who just want to take selfies, let's say you want to take a group selfie, but nobody wants to press the button, nobody wants to use a timer or say some, word to trigger the camera. You can just, somebody can like kind of hide the button out of frame, press it, and then it'll snap the shot. So there's that side of it. For for people who are more into pro or more serious photography, like myself, for example, I found it useful for shooting in low light situations when I was resting on a flat surface using a tripod, and I didn't want to use a timer. I had my shot framed, I had everything set up. I just could press the button and it would snap it. So there are useful cases in both ways, and even if I wanted to shoot video, I could double click and I could just start recording video. Now, of course, by default, when you do double click, it just basically it just switches the cameras from the front-facing camera to the rear camera, but you can make those adjustments in the settings. Samsung says that they've opened up an API to allow third-party developers to make use of this functionality, so there could be other apps potentially that make use of it, but nothing at this time. Generally speaking, what you have is a phone that performs really, really well, but is not anything like a leap forward. Like, this has a lot in common with the Galaxy S9 Plus. If there was one phone I could pick that Samsung has come out with that is really similar to this, it would be that. But then if you throw in a little bit of the Note 8, you basically have this because, of course, of the pen and some of the features that were introduced in the Note 8 are here, like the dual lens setup. So you have the mechanical aperture, you have basically all those things. Now there are a couple of things that Samsung added here. There's an intelligent auto mode, so now when you're shooting in auto, basically it's supposed to gauge the scene. Think of it like scene recognition in other phones. It's essentially the same thing, and it works okay. It could be better, but it works okay. So essentially, you would get this phone if you want a big screen, you like the pen, you like Samsung, or you like Android phones. I mean, You're getting it for the sum of the parts as opposed to one particular feature. I mean, you may get it just for the pen, because if you get an S9 Plus, Galaxy S9 Plus, you would be getting a pretty similar phone, to be honest with you. But if you want all of this, basically including the battery life, the Galaxy Note 9 would be definitely a good choice for you. And that's my review of the Samsung Galaxy Note 9. For Best Buy Plugin, I'm Teddy K. Thanks for watching.